All right, good morning, everybody. This is Philly X with Confident Gamers, and we're at Katsucon bright and early in the morning, and we are blessed with the presence of LG Ransom. We ran into her yesterday in the vendor room and just caught wind of her books, and so we wanted to invite her to share about her series and about her experience writing.
I'm so glad you did.
Yes, thank you so much for being available for us. So can you tell us about the series?
The series has a very heavy Sentai-esque flavor to it. I started writing stories about Power Rangers and Voltron and Robotech and Battle of the Planets for my children. They wanted to hear more stories about the shows, and they wanted to read the fan fiction, but the fan fictions weren't always, appropriate for little children. So I started rewriting the fan fiction so that they were more appropriate to my kids, and from there I started writing fan fiction itself. And from there, that started my original fiction, which was Holland's Heir, which is book one of the Sentinel Dawn Series, and was able to publish that through Amazon and Amazon's Create Space, and started going from show to show and trying to market my book and get the story of it. Kricket is a young girl who grows up thinking her grandfather is nothing more than a sweet old man, and suddenly finds out he's so much more than a sweet old man. He's actually a hero of intergalactic proportions. Okay. And now that he's passed on, the whole universe is looking to her to continue his legacy, and she's not exactly sure how to go about doing that. So the Holland's Heir begins the story, and Kricket Holland sort of wraps up the beginning of it. But it's very much the five coming into one, the quest for the magical robot to save the universe, and more the story of the characters behind the mecha. And the neat thing about the Sentinel Dawn series is that it features a strong female lead, which you really don't get in stories about mecha and science fiction and whatnot. And they throw in a little bit of fantasy and a lot of mythology, and it's a fun series. So awesome. Just recently was picked up by Haven Publishing, and they are going to republish Holland's Heir and Kricket Holland, and then I'm going to write a prequel with that will be 3 books. It'll be a series of 3 books that sort of gives a little bit more of the background of where the gods and the goddesses came from, and how the history of the magical robot became part of human legend.
Do we get to learn about her grandfather, who wasn't the sweet old man?
In the continuation of Holland's Heir and Kricket Holland, we will continue that. I have lots of plans to delve further into that. But the prequel will actually be 3 books to sort of explain where that legend came from, and really what's going on, and why Kricket was going after the crystals and the keys, and trying to figure out what's going on.
Now, I know you mentioned you started from rewriting stuff for your children to read. So what age range would you say that these are geared for?
I started out with the intention of young adult, but they've been very popular with high school and college kids. Okay. So it's a very light read for college kids. It's a light fantasy, and middle school has been a good target audience, but the high schoolers really seem to enjoy it. So
because they're kid friendly.
They're very kid friendly. There's a little bit of romance in there, but it doesn't really get too detailed.
Okay, perfect. And now, is there one particular show or book that inspired this, or is it just a collection of your experiences?
It's mostly a collection of my experiences. As growing up, I was heavily influenced by Battle of the Planets or Gundam. And then came Voltron, and then came Robotech, I was a huge Robotech fan. And then came Power Rangers, and my kids were huge Power Ranger fans. And we would go from convention to convention, and they always had to have a Power Ranger costume and do the cosplays and things like that. So and became very involved with the Power Ranger fandom for a while. So there is a lot of that in my story, but it makes the Sentai story accessible to those who really don't know much about Sentai or mecha or transforming machines and things like that, because it is focused more on the characters and what they're experiencing rather than the machines themselves.
Okay, good. So this is a good, so if you're not familiar with that genre, this is a good book to kind of learn.
This is a good introduction to the genre, and what's cool is, like I said, it's a strong female lead, so women really enjoy it, girls really enjoy it, and it's not a big strong hero with, you know, the heroine and has her hand to her forehead and needs the hero to save her. She's out saving, you know, the heroes. So
Awesome, I like that. Now, for the writings that you did for your children before, have you saved those and possibly going to put them in a collection one day?
I have saved them. I have saved the stories. A few of my Power Ranger fan fictions are still up on fanfiction.net, so you can still see that. I was KSusie on fanfiction.net for a long time, and I have a few unfinished stories that I really need to get back to. But my main focus has been on this series, and now with Haven, really propelling the series forward and introducing it to a much broader audience.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned your fan fiction account. So, is there any other way that our followers can connect with you, follow your books, and find out more and purchase books?
Absolutely. Haven will be re-releasing Holland's Heir next month, and I believe Kricket Holland very shortly after that. And then the hope is by this summer, the first book of The Legend of Illyria, the first book of the prequel, The Legend of Illyria, will be out in June in time for the summer season. So you'll be able to find those in all the outlets, Amazon and Barnes & Noble and places like that. You'll find them on Haven's website. And I have a Facebook account. I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to technology. My children are trying to update me, but the best way to really connect with me or communicate with me is on Facebook at LG Ransom. And then I have a website, but we're sort of in a transition with Haven and moving to their website. So.
Okay, cool. Good. So we have a way to follow up and get more information from you.
Absolutely.
Now, this morning you had a panel just basically helping people kickstart their books. A little summary of
One of the most frequently asked questions that I get when I come to shows is how did I transition from fan fiction to original fiction and then publication. And I think that the younger generation, my daughter's generation, has so much more opportunity than I had when I was her age. When I was her age, you had to get an agent, and that agent had to solicit a publisher. And if they weren't interested, that was it. You really didn't have any more opportunity. Now you have the web, you have fan fiction, you have fan fiction's sister site for original fiction. You have all these other places where you can place your stories on the web and get them out there. And then if no one's interested, you can actually self-publish. You can go to Amazon's Create Space or some of these other places and work the shows, which is what I did. I went through Create Space, and then I published my book, and I was able to go to convention and say, hey, I'm here. And I built a following, and that's how I drew Haven's attention. And they said, we've been looking for somebody who writes this kind of story with a strong female lead, and that's how I got signed. So the panel is really designed to talk to kids who are writing on an everyday basis and really want to get their stories out there, and how the different how they can get their stories out there and get people to notice them.
Awesome. That's really encouraging, because I know that's a lot of times what people hesitate on. They feel like that's going to be a stumbling block, and I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm not going to have the resources. So it's encouraging to know that it's out there and that we have people like you to be able to bring that information to them and encourage them.
Absolutely. The best way to become a writer right now is to write and get your stories out there, and don't be afraid of what people think or say about them, because it's out there, and writing is practice, and you can only get better and better.
Yeah, I feel like every book has an audience. There's always going to be somebody who enjoys what you wrote, even if it's not the original audience you intended when you started. Somebody's going to grasp it. So yeah, definitely don't stop.
Yes, absolutely. Don't stop. Keep writing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to just educate us about your book, about yourself, and we look forward to reading them. And we'll definitely have some reviews on our website soon.
Wonderful. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Right.